breaking the cycle of poverty by inspiring changes from within. So, next session will be regarding breaking the cycle of poverty by inspiring change from within. We have three speakers. First one is Rachel Rutherford. Next one is Mary Clowry. So lead speaker is our lead speaker is Caroline Scott. So she will start. Please come on.
Well, good morning. It's almost lunchtime. You've had a full morning of speakers and presentations. Thank you so much for choosing to come here today. My name is Carolyn Scott, and I am a clinical mental health counselor and an emotional release facilitator. And I'm also a humanitarian. I work with two NGOs that work with the abject poor. And I'll be talking about them today. I'd love to take you on a journey today. And it'll cross many continents, and it'll focus on poverty because we're at an economic forum, but it'll have a lot of applications in other areas of life. By the time we finish this journey, I'm hoping that you will come away with tools and ideas of ways that you can make a difference in someone else's life to inspire them to make change and then to empower them to make change. So let's start our journey in Peru. And I wish I had my slides to show you. Unfortunately, the PowerPoint isn't cooperating today, but maybe you can use your imagination as we talk about this. So if you can imagine this dusty shanty town in Peru. It's called Ventanilla. And if you can imagine, there's corrugated tin roofs and clapboard housing and cement blocks, and it's gritty and it's dusty, and this sleek car pulls around the corner. And inside the car, in the front seat, there's a lady named Vanya Messias, and next to her is a man named Sean Perry. And Vanya and Sean are dancers. Sean's been on Broadway for years in the United States, and he's come to Peru to teach master classes to professional dancers in Vanya's beautiful studio. It's very different from where they're driving right now. There's beautiful vistas and warm showers and polished wood floors, right? And as they round the corner, Vanya is pointing out Peru to Sean because she wanted him to see what the real Peru looked like, not just the nice parts. And so they're driving through this town, and it kind of appears like a ghost town. There are people out there with their hands out begging, they have this haunted look in their eyes, and they drive around the corner, and Vanya points to this group of people and says, those are the people that I actually really want to help. They were a group of boys that were out doing tricks and performing and dancing, and she said they're actually trying to earn a living, so I want to help them. And Sean said, well, let's go talk to them then. And she said, oh, no. You don't want to get out of the car here. It's far too dangerous. And Sean said, well, Vanya, if you want to help someone, you have to get out of the car, right? And so they did. And so they got out, and they went back and they talked to the boys. And they said, we're dance professionals. Show us what you have. We'd love to see if we can contribute anything. And they worked with the boys that morning. And by the end of the morning, they decided, if we want to continue to work with these boys, come back, boys. Come back Friday. Bring your friends. We'll come back. We'll meet you here. So Friday comes. They show up. The car pulls around the corner. No boys. Nobody's there. Drive a little bit further around to this park. Over 70 boys were waiting for them there. So they get out of the car again. And they start working with the boys. And again, have some really great interchanges and interactions. And by the end of that day, they said, we need to do more. So Sean said, I'll stay a few extra weeks and I'll continue to teach them, I'll volunteer. And Vanya said, well, I can bring in some sponsors, we can bus some of these boys into my studio. So they did. They brought about 30 boys into the studio, and as Sean walked through the doors, this beautiful studio, the boys were no longer on their home turf, something was different. All of a sudden there was some resistance. And I don't know if it was discomfort or what, but they were resisting, and they would hide behind their hoodies, their attitudes, and it was frustrating. And they said, how can we pull this out of these boys to help them? We're trying to give them a chance here. We're trying to give them skills. But they couldn't break through. And after 2 days of that, Sean was feeling kind of frustrated. And so he was kneeling in prayer that night, and he was just expressing, what do I do? I don't know how to get through to these boys. And the answer that came was very simple. It was one sentence. And the answer was this: the very things that are keeping them from succeeding in your class are the very things that are keeping them from succeeding in life. And there's a lot of research to back this up. We'll take our journey from Peru to America now. And in a really remarkable book called The Path of Peers, Transforming Lives and Creating Opportunities, if you have a chance to read that, it's fantastic. There's some research that says our brains shape our IQ, right? But they also shape what we understand as character, persistence, determination, pluck, grittiness, all those things that make up who we are. And there's a growing body of research that suggests that character development is the key to helping people escape poverty. And character traits benefit all young people, but especially youth who have struggled with poverty. There's a researcher, I'm going to just switch my slide here. His name is James Heckman, and he's one of the pioneers in studying this character development as an escape route from poverty thought. And he studied youth in the United States that got the graduate equivalency degree. So it's people who have dropped out of high school and have taken a test, right? And what he found is that even though that they have the credentials, the same as people who have graduated from high school, their pay grade is much lower. They have the IQ, they have the information, but they're paid on the rate of those who have dropped out of high school. And the research shows this is because, as a group, these people drop out of the things that they start. They drop out of college, they drop out of relationships, they drop out of careers, and so their pay reflects that. And so you can go through a lot of different research that shows that character development is really important. So we're going to jump back to Peru. So the very things that are keeping them from succeeding in your class are the very things that are keeping them from succeeding in life. This Peru was a turning point for Sean, and a turning point for the boys, though they didn't know it yet. So Sean tried a different approach. He came back to class the next day, and he walked in and he said, I have something that I want to show you. It's so simple that even my grandmother could do it, but none of you can do it. In fact, I'm not even going to show you. He walks off, right? And so the boys were like, wait, what? What did you just say? Wait, come back. And he was like, no. And he played hard to get for a little while with the boys. And finally, they showed that they were interested enough. And he said, okay, this is what I want you to do. And there's 2 rules. If you're going to do this, we all need to agree to 2 rules. The first rule is that we are all a team, so nobody gives up. The second rule is because we're a team, if one person messes up, we all mess up, and we start again. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to stand with one finger in the air, and don't move anything except for that one finger for 30 seconds. And remember, we're all a team, so if one person messes up, we all mess up, and we start again. And so they did, and they started the watch, and they're going, no, start again. Okay. No, start again. And over and over and over, they had to start again. And finally, they started getting frustrated with each other, and they were like, come on, we're trying here, like, work with us, let's do this. And finally, after a long time, they were like, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They started celebrating, and they celebrated for a little while, and Sean was like, okay guys, you did this for 30 seconds. But what did you really do? So what did they really do? They worked as a team. What else did they do?
They didn't give up.
They didn't give up. That's so important. What else did they do?
They encouraged each other.
Yes.
And they were held to a standard.
Exactly. And they met that standard. Right. All of those things that you mentioned, Sean said, these skills that we worked on today are the very things you need to succeed in school, to succeed in your jobs, to succeed in relationships. And I can teach you these things. If you work with me, you stay with me, I will stay here, and we'll work together. And so it's really amazing what can happen when people believe in you, right? When people believe that there's someone behind them that is championing them, right? You know what I'm saying. When there's somebody who's advocating for you, then there's hope and there's a buy-in, right? And so there's some many researchers that talk about this. We'll talk about that in just a second. What is really inspiring about this is that these boys, what happened in Peru, then went on to create lasting change for a lot of youth all over the world. Sean started an organization that I work with now. It's called Promethean Spark International. And it uses more than this. It actually works with dance and highly trained dancers, musicians. They teach life skills to these impoverished youth all over the world in leprosy colonies, in prisons, in slums, drug rehab centers, and sex trafficking shelters all over the world. Those skills that you named. And they do it through the vehicle of the arts, but it's character development that they focus on. And one of the organizations that Promethean Spark partners with is called Rising Star Outreach. And I work as the development director for both of these organizations, so I'm very passionate about both of them. But Rising Star works with, again, the Object Corps, leprosy-affected individuals. They do education, microgrant, and medical work. And the intersection of these two organizations is the Life Dance Troupe. And this is a group of kids, first ever in the history of the world, group of dancers from a leprosy colony, these students that come from the school. And they go out and they perform, and it combats the stigma of leprosy. And it's leading toward the eradication of the disease and improving their lives so that they can become leaders in their community and their society. All of this is coming because of their character development, and somebody invested in changing their life and helping them. So, there is a study by a man named Bruce Wydick. It spans 6 countries and 10,000 children. And in this study, they studied kids who were sponsored versus kids who were not. They had siblings. And the younger siblings were old enough to be sponsored. The older siblings were just a little bit too old to be sponsored. They found that just that sponsorship alone made the difference between them staying in school longer, having jobs, all of these things. Such a huge, huge thing. So, just to kind of wrap around back to Peru in this story, Sean connected with one of the boys named Walter de la Vega. Years later, he said, "Walter, you promised me before I left that you would return to school and that you would graduate. Did you?" And Walter said, "Yes, I did. I graduated." And then he said, "Walter, all of those boys made me that same promise. What happened to the rest of them?" And there was a long pause, and Walter said, "We all did. We all graduated. We were all a team. Just like in your class, if one of us messed up, we all messed up, and so